Hello and welcome to another update video about Cardano. In this video, we're going to take a look at the Bitcoin chart and the Ethereum chart, look at ADA, BTC, and also I want to talk about another Cardano-based project, a Launchpad on the Cardano blockchain that you can trade as well and where you can get some tokens. So a bit similar to PBX yesterday, where I talked about Paribus and the potential to buy PBX tokens on the KuCoin exchange. Today I want to talk about another one. So for everybody who isn't interested in that, can switch off maybe after the TA, and everybody else can hang on after the TA and listen into that. So we start with Bitcoin. Bitcoin currently consolidating above that channel. So you remember we came up in that ascending channel here. Some people might call it a ascending wedge because it was slightly converging, but I think it's okay to call it a channel. It's quite wide anyway. So we've then come up to the 67K and now we're consolidating just above this support line. So we nearly touched that support line, and however we've fallen below all these previous highs and lows, and we're currently finding support here where we had these lows at around 60,200. So I would say, you know, pretty much the 60K level is currently providing support here. The thing is that even though we're consolidating a little bit above 60K, we came down here pretty much exactly to 60K. Here we even tried to break through. But yeah, we've been consolidating since then. The thing is now, we just need to see in which way Bitcoin is developing, because we had this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 move to the downside, then a potential ABC here, you know, and we could continue a small correction further down. Hopefully not though. I'm hoping that we continue to go up. What is certainly good though is that we have the 20-day moving average coming up here to support the price and maybe to push the price further up. Bitcoin has been adhering to the 20-day moving average all the way through. I mean, it's been much higher actually, so it's not really come down to get support, which wouldn't be a problem normally, because we have come in the past, we've come down to the 20-day moving average to get support here and here. This was in the last move to the upside that started end of July. We've always waited for the 20-day moving average. You can clearly see that here. Yeah, so actually maybe we just need to do that and just wait after that huge, you know, price increase here. We might just have to wait for the 20-day moving average because we were just too far extended away from it, which is what that further small price drop could be before we hit the 20-day moving average, which is currently at around 58.3K. So I think, you know, we could just be waiting here for the 20-day to come up, or we drop down once more and just hit it to get support, and from then on carry on further up. That's certainly an opportunity. Overall, you know, we just need to wait now for other altcoins to catch up. That's what Bitcoin is doing. It's allowing other altcoins to catch up, and there could be a bit of further consolidation, a bit of sideways move until the 20-day moving average catches up. I think if we really drop, should we drop below the 20-day moving average? That's why I think, you know, it's worth highlighting it, worth noting it. Then we could really see a, not long term, but, you know, a week long, maybe a few weeks long consolidation. A bit like here when we had that flash crash in September, you know, without any doubt, you can see that when we crossed the 20-day moving average, it then provided resistance and we dropped when we tried to touch it again. So yeah, the 20-day is quite important. Sometimes it provided resistance here together with the 50 actually. So as soon as you are dropping below the 20, this is oftentimes an indicator for Bitcoin that we continue our move down, or that there is a longer term consolidation. Sometimes Bitcoin is adhering to the 50-day moving average and doesn't really care about the 20, like this here in this price increase. Here the 20-day moving average back in April wasn't really regarded relevant at all, but here the 50-day was important. So certainly now we are quite far away from the 50, so I would assume that the 20-day will be initial support, a bit like here back in August. So that's the level for me to watch, the 20-day moving average drop. If we drop below that, I think we could drop further. We could then even drop to the 50, or we could drop to that lower support level, which is currently here sitting at 45K. To the upside, I think a lot of resistance to be expected at 70K. Yeah, if we continue to go up, of course here, I think at the previous all-time high now, 67K, and then 70, 71K is a zone. It's important Fibonacci extension level, the 1.272, where we will expect some further resistance with Bitcoin. Cardano, honestly, moving just sideways. Moving just sideways, doesn't really move at all at the moment. It just shows how that price is really getting squeezed into this apex. And I did say in yesterday's video, I added another line because we had all of these touch points here. So you can actually have a trend line within that triangle and another, let's call it upper leg of the triangle, with which we haven't often touched, but 3 times we have. So just shows whenever we try to break out, that was really when Bitcoin crashed again. Very, very weird actually. And we haven't so far managed to get above the 50. We also haven't managed to get really significantly and sustainably above the 20-day moving average. And again, 20-day, I mentioned before, we tried it here, but we failed. We dropped again. So here we did it, but we didn't really care. You know, it didn't provide any support. So I think the 50 is also very, very relevant anyway. So the 50 was resistance here. The 50 was pretty much resistance here. So we need to get above these two. I did say it before, it's highly relevant. And as I said before as well, the 20 or the 50, also for Cardano, provide oftentimes support and resistance, so they are relevant. And depending on, not in sideways movement, in a range market, moving averages are not really used or useful, because in range markets, the price often doesn't respect any moving average. But then again, in an uptrending market here back in February, the 20 was important. Okay, so watch out for that. I think if we can get finally above the 20-day moving average, then we can get a price boost. But now the 50-day is also coming down, so we really need to get above that level as well, and that will provide further resistance. So at the moment, it's pretty much like at this lower trend line here, I mean this second trend line, the upper leg, the first upper leg you could call it. Here we've got currently sitting the 20-day moving average, and at the other one it's the 50-day moving average. So 2 significant levels to get through. Did say in yesterday's video that I tried to apply here an Elliott Wave ABCDE count to that triangle. That would indicate that in the next move we could go down. That's what I've been expecting actually throughout. I've been saying that we could come down once more. I did expect a breakout to the upside before we come down once more, but in the end nobody has a crystal ball. But based on the ABCDE, and I was a bit unsure about that, I did say that because it's a bit of a messy triangle here. And again, that could be not the accurate count. As I said, it's a bit messy, but based on ABCDE, it would indicate that the next move goes down. I did say if we can go down, we could fall, first of all, to $2. Then we've got that previous low here, 190. And then we've got the 200-day moving average currently at 177. And also in that range, there's an important Fibonacci level. I think it's the golden pocket sitting there. Now, if you talk about, he's talking the price down. Well, I'm actually extremely bullish on Cardano. I just think we need to find a new low in order to build buying pressure, because nobody can argue. We haven't had buying pressure for a long time, even though there were attempts. And if you take a look at my Binance chart, I've got all the Elliott Waves, the main Elliott Waves put on here. So actually based on this 8-hour chart, or let me go back to the daily, I mean, it just shows where we are. We are actually currently, in my opinion, in a third wave to the upside. So we've got these super waves here, but I talked about them before. So currently we've built wave 1 that was back in April, I think, came down in wave 2, and now we're in a wave 3 to the upside. That correction that we are seeing here, that ABC correction within which we currently are, that is only a smaller wave within that main wave 3 to the upside, which has a target of at least 440, 450. And it's impossible to put a time on that, because in the end, based on purely using Elliott Waves, you wouldn't be able to put a time on there. But looking at when the alt season is and everything, I think certainly we can expect that. Hopefully this year, that's still my target. But if everything is being moved back, and if Cardano takes longer, I mean, I'm not making the price, but it should really catch up. And everything that, looking at the past and everything, I mean, Cardano should really have caught up on Ethereum. That's one thing. However, what we also need to keep in mind, everybody talked about what did the price do last year, and looking at last year in September, I mean, the price didn't really do a lot. So let's look at 2020. So it's always to bear in mind that Cardano sometimes just doesn't do anything for a while. So look at that. I mean, that period here, let me just highlight that area for you. So we obviously had last year as well in August a little peak here, you know. So obviously we had very, very different prices back then. And then let's highlight from the beginning of September, which was here, all the way throughout October. You can see nothing really happened. Throughout November, nothing really happened. It was only like in the last couple of weeks of November, which are starting now, that we really started to catch up. And in December, so really actually, Cardano last year, if everybody says like September is always weak and everything, really last year, I mean, for Cardano, it didn't really, I mean, nothing really happened until the end of November. I mean, I'm sure people at the time, I wasn't really observing the market that closely last year, but I'm sure people back then said Cardano is dead and stuff like that. I know that, because people always do that. But then, obviously here in January, it kicked off, right? It was pretty much like the 1st of January or something, you know, it started, and that's what you don't want to miss. These price increases, this like, you know, 1,300% increase, you know, in just 5 months. So again, I think it should really be earlier this year, because I think we're gonna see the peak of the alt season at some point in January, maybe even February. I think rather January. So it should start a bit earlier, but just look at that. So that is what Cardano is sometimes doing, just nothing, and then suddenly it starts to jump. And that is something just to be aware of, just to remind ourselves. And again, there are other projects running on the Cardano blockchain and that are getting listed that might be worth looking at that as well. And I'm getting to that in a minute. ADA BTC continues to climb up. Yeah, found here, dropped unfortunately below that trend line, but we are still making higher highs. So we're getting closer to that 3,550 line. We tried to break it yesterday, failed. So we actually broke it, but we couldn't get the retest done. So we're climbing higher still. So let's just hope that we're going to break that this time. And I'll keep you updated about ADA BTC. And we need to get above this ascending trend line here, which is currently sitting at 3,870, yeah, 3,880. So we need to get above that. It will be interesting, very interesting it will be, when the 20-day moving average is coming down, what the price is doing. Are we going to break that 20-day, get above it? Because that would be really, really bullish. Because in that last move down here, yeah, that was back in August, here was the price also pushed down, ADA BTC, to that trend line. And then we crossed above the 20-day moving average, and that was really the major pump, you know, that we needed. And from here we moved through the 50-day without even noticing it, and we just made nice gains. So something similar could be happening if we cross above the 20-day moving average. Yes, made a bearish cross here, but that's just because it's lagging behind, in my opinion. I think we've come down already very far. I've seen that with various other cryptos. It's always worth talking about it, but I don't really think that is highly relevant, that so-called death cross. Looking at this other project I wanted to talk about, Kick.io, just to make this Cardano update a little bit more interesting. Kick is a launchpad. You might have heard about Kick, launchpad for certain projects on the Cardano blockchain, which is decentralized. The goal is to get fully decentralized, and it's basically a decentralized launchpad. So people can, or organizations can, launch their projects here on Kick, on the launchpad, and people can invest. Yeah, people can invest in these projects if they think they're interesting. And and of course, the people who are launching these projects, they can get funding. So it's basically a fundraising platform designed to be very easy and designed to accelerate projects. So it's an interesting concept, and it will be a catalyst for basically Cardano-based projects. So I find that highly interesting. I think I talked about Kick before on this channel. What I really want to mention is the native token of this platform, basically. So with the Kick token, you can actually buy it already. Okay, so there will be 350 million tokens. Okay, 350 million tokens, and in my understanding, the private sale has happened. We're now in the public sale, so people can basically buy it on an exchange. People can trade it. It has actually launched. So Kick has actually launched as a platform. People can launch their projects now on the launchpad here, And you know, you can see ADA swap, for example, is one that is upcoming. Yeah, so that's interesting. So you can, if you're interested in, you can basically trade the Kick tokens. So how do you do that? There are different ways. I think Gate.io, you can buy them. But also here on X Markets. X Markets is also where you can buy ADAX, which I talked about as well. And you can also buy Kick. Yeah. So with Kick, it's not possible really to make a technical analysis, of course, because it only started, you know, the price history is just, it's only started in September. But what you can see is that we have here, the chart, you can trade it. And again, if you're interested in these, then it might be worth having a look at it. You can see that we're here currently finding support already at the 20-day moving average. So it's already adhering to it. Don't really have a 50-day moving average yet because there's not enough time. But it's certainly something interesting to get through. Of course, we can see how the price was moved up, then was dumped because people could, in my understanding, people could, after their tokens were locked, they could get rid of them, or they basically sold after they got hold of them in the private sale, in the initial sale, and then they pushed the price down, but people bought it up already, moving sideways. I think at some point, people who are who participate in the private sale, who had their tokens locked for longer, will at some point be able to release them, and they probably will sell them for profit. So that will then push the price down again once more. But I think for the medium or long term, these tokens are certainly interesting to get into. I wouldn't put personally much in them generally, in my personal opinion, and that's only my own opinion, because it is risky. Yeah, it's more risky than, for example, investing in Cardano or Bitcoin or whatever, of course. And so you need to be aware of these risks because they are small projects, you know, things like that. But it might be interesting to have a look at. Just wanted to step-by-step introduce you to different smaller projects on the Cardano blockchain as you wanted, because that has been requested before, and Kick is one that you can just buy. If you don't know X Markets, it's xmarkets.com. I talked about it before, and you can buy ADAX, which is a decentralized exchange on the Cardano blockchain. You can buy ADAX tokens there as well. So again, hope that was useful. If you liked that video, please smash the like button, and if you want to follow me on this crypto journey, please subscribe. As a channel member, there will be a for every channel member there will be a live stream today. It's 1700 UTC, and channel members also, of course, will be able to participate in the live chat anyway. So maybe you will consider that as well if you really like the content. So again, hopefully you like the video. Smash the like, hit the subscribe button, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.